Welcome to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman. This show brought to you by The Window Store. And Tyler Gantz, the owner, also joins us. Bob Sansevere will join us later. First, though, we've got to dive into the Vikings. And how's JJ doing this week? Every week we have to get the pulse. We have to get the reading. And Chuck, you have watched this franchise and been a part of this franchise for the majority of your life. We are at a window here for the Vikings. First time ever that they have been able to invest a top 10 pick in a quarterback.
Right.
And everybody is hoping that by having this piece, this gives the team the franchise quarterback that they have been searching for decades. So with that in the back of your mind, what have you saw out of JJ in that opening drive against the Texans where he went 4 of 7 for 30 yards or 40 yards?
Considering the fact he hadn't played ball in about a year and a half, to me, the jury's still out. I haven't seen anything that was overwhelming, saying, oh, wow, this is going to be the guy yet.
Right.
But I'm also going to give him the benefit of just not being available physically on the field for a year and a half. And so the first game, it's so-so, but a lot of room for improvement. And I firmly believe from where I come from and coming from my era, especially the quarterback position, every now and then you'll get a guy that's going to be a rookie or something that's going to come on like a Patrick Mahomes or like the Daniels kid in Washington that can just set it on fire. They just are that special. But for the quarterback position, from my standpoint, I think they should be able to come in, sit for a year or two at least, to adapt to the speed of the game, all the different things that come with the pro game. And I think that'll make him a better quarterback. For instance, when we got Sam Darnold, he had been in the league, 3-4 years?
Right.
Okay, he was with the worst teams, the worst offenses, all that. And then he gets to San Francisco, gets some great coaching, gets to understand the game a little bit. Then he comes here, and he's constantly taking steps to make himself an exceptional quarterback, which I thought he did. And then once we got him, we let him go. Now they're starting over again, but only on a lower level because Sam Darnold had already had that 3-year, experience. And then he ended up with some good quarterback coaches, which we have one. But when you're throwing quarterbacks in there and you're expecting this with this high-powered, we got offensive players up to the yo-yad. But now the thing is the quarterback. He's inexperienced, and he hasn't proven anything. And so now we got all these pieces in place, but the guy that could have pulled the trigger, now that we improved the offensive line to give him that time he needed, Sam Darnold I'm talking about,
right,
in the playoffs last year, he was just beat up the whole game, 2 games. And so there you go. And so now the thing is, will his athleticism, help him survive.
Right. But that's the model now of the NFL, Tyler, is that every team wants to pay their quarterback as little as possible so that they can spend on these other pieces that they think will get them over the top. That's the model recipe now that everybody's gunning for. And, because of the Vikings, they couldn't keep Grenard, Van Ginkel, Cashman, all these pieces they brought in if they paid Darnold what he's now getting paid in Seattle. So that's the problem. You have to hit lightning in a bottle when you draft one of these quarterbacks on a rookie deal. You get a 5-year window. So Chuck is saying sit 2 of those 5, 1 for sure, of your rookie deal, and then try to go from there.
Yeah, I think what we've seen, now we've gotten a glimpse of what JJ's doing. My rah-rah in months past has calmed down just a bit. I'm hoping that our defense is as good as they seem to be, and we have a real strong run game with that offensive line.
Right.
Chuck, your wisdom is great. You're like, hey, let's see what he has. And I've calmed down my excitement. I'm really hoping that the one thing we've all agreed upon is we win in the trenches.
Right.
And then we can win there.
Yeah. And that, with that said, I like our running back room.
Yeah.
Definitely, we got a top flight running back room. So if that offensive line comes together and they can establish a real consistent run game, then he may have the time to adapt to what's coming at him. Because let me tell you, it comes at you really, really fast.
But if that run game is strong, he'll have more time.
There you go. He'll have all the action.
Actionable work.
Right, and it'll give you, and then defenses who got to defend you different.
Yeah.
And they'll, instead of them coming right, well, they'll have that half a second pause on, wait a minute, is this a run or pass? Yeah, it's all kinds of little things that happen. And so it's nice when you draft a guy and he comes out of college and we say, oh, he's going to be this and going to be that. But wait a minute. Not all of them are really ready. I mean, they're, when they get to this level.
We can dream, though.
Yeah, but that's why we draft them, because we see the potential. But, with him having that injury, he's like a year behind. So he's got to catch up.
I agree.
And so, that physically now, let me tell you, and I see, when he pulls up down and he takes off, he's an athlete. No question about that.
That's what I want to bring up is that we haven't released the beast of his athleticism.
Right.
We're in the preseason. He's holding back. So he could be fantastic with his feet to create plays.
He could be, but remember, we always have, our quarterback coach, as good as he is, he always keeps them in that he has a way of coaching them that he doesn't want them outside of that, that norm. Yeah. And you don't want them running. And I think, and they say, yeah, that's how you get hurt. But still, like, look at Patrick Mahomes. He's not the fastest guy, but, even he can pull it down and take it and get, he's a double threat.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what? I just had a thought while you guys are talking about this. Maybe the Vikings truly know that McCarthy isn't that good. And that, no, let me go down this rabbit hole. Let me go down this rabbit hole. Okay. Right? So they drafted him. They thought he was going to be something different. They looked at him. They had him for all the OTAs up until that first preseason game. Then he got hurt. And then they've worked with him all off season this year. Funny, we decided to rebuild the offensive line.
Yeah.
Add a power running back.
Right.
Maybe all this is to protect his shortcomings by being a team that's not going to rely on the arm of the quarterback.
Yeah.
So we are going to be more of a ball possession, run the ball, throw when we need to team versus throw the ball to set up the run, because that's the way the Vikings have been for a long time. So maybe McCarthy and Kwesi, or O'Connell and Kwesi, sat there and go, this guy isn't going to get it done. But we can't admit that because, one, you're going to burn your kid, right? JJ's going to go, what do you think you're talking about? And your whole fan base will be out there with pitchforks going, you drafted this guy and now we're stuck with him.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw this and they figured, you know what? Until he figures this out, we've got to do what we can to help him. So what do? You build a monster defense that nobody could score on, so you don't have to score 38 points a game to win. And you add a running game, something the Vikings haven't had since Dalvin Cook and Mike Zimmer, and try it that way. What do you think of that?
Well,
How about that one?
That's a good theory, and it was one that would work, no question about it. Because I think that, like I said, the running backs we got and the offensive line that we built, hopefully when they start, because it's going to start this next game, and they're going to start ramping up just who's going to be in there, and they're going to start evaluating the run game first, and then we're going to see how JJ reacts to that. And hopefully, I hope he's got it, but right now, the jury's still out.
Right?
I'm not quite ready to go down the conspiracy theory.
It's not. It's just
let me rephrase it.
Sorry.
Right? I would say that you do the best with what you got. right? Like they've already pot committed here. You got to figure out with what you're doing and what you got. I think that's what they've done. We've ramped up the offensive line. We have a killer ass defense, right? They're great. I know we got 2 rock star running backs. We're a 20 pass team. We're a 20 pass game team, right?
And we got some great receivers.
Right.
So when you want to throw up,
That's basically the first. And then we just had one get hurt, right?
Yep. Rafael Moore is done for the season.
But what I've seen out there, we got somebody to step in there and do the job.
So the thing is, JJ and Addison really hit it off in practice the preseason. So that'd be sweet to see Addison take off because we had JJ and JJ on the other side of things, right? All right. So I just don't. I'm concerned about those wide receivers getting attitude as well. We're going to see how their character is, and they're not getting the ball through 4 or 5 times again.
That's another thing. We've not ever seen that with Justin Jefferson. He has been completely different than 80% of the wide receivers in the National Football League that demand the ball, demand to be paid. He went through that whole contract situation, never said one negative about anything. He would always deflect and say, well, that's up to my agent in the front office. I just want to win, and his family and the way they have raised him and provided him support really shows.
It does because, he's got 2 or 3 big brothers that played at the level, but I'm talking about at the highest level. So I'm sure they gave him some guidance and stuff, probably beat him up a little bit. But he's good. My brother, I got a great big brother, and Butch is like, I talk to him 2 or 3 times a day. In fact, I talk to him so much, he'll call me. He's like my mother, don't call me no more today. You know what I mean? But, but that makes a big difference in who you are and how you live and my brother, he, as far as training goes and commitment, he was just that. I wanted to be and do what he did. And I'm sure with JJ, with his brothers and his family and how they, he's just a real special football player, a special guy. He's got it together.
This may test it.
No doubt.
See, and that rubs off on everybody else too.
It does, because if the best guy on the team is not marking or complaining, you better line up and follow him because.
Go ahead. Another thing is, I don't think he would have signed that contract if he went until he knew that JJ had what it took to do the job. I really don't think he would have signed it if he did when he did his homework, because you can believe he did. Well, am I going to sign this thing with this guy coming? Is he any good? Yeah, all that.
We believe in the organization, right? Like at the end of the day, we believe in the organization. I think that's what JJ's bought into. If you're not humble and you don't commit, you're not going to be around very long. Just how it is.
Right.
No doubt. All right, we'll take a break here on the JimBob Sports Jamboree. Much more on the Vikings and the Twins. Their ownership, the Pohlads, they're not going anywhere. We'll see what Chuck and Tyler think about that. And we also have to remind you that it is Restaurant Week up in Maple Grove this week. You got to get out there. A huge party taking place on Saturday at the Lookout with Kat Perkins. You'll want to be a part of that. So we'll explain much more about that and everything else we've got rolling here. You're listening to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman. Welcome back to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman. This show brought to you by Experience Maple Grove. It's Restaurant Week this week. Get out there and have some fun this weekend in Maple Grove. And also brought to you by the Window Store. And Tyler Gantz, the owner, is here. And you want to have some fun remodeling your house, doing new projects? Tyler, you got a way for people to really get some projects done this year if they come up the winner here.
Yeah, it's been great. If you haven't already seen, we are blessing one lucky customer with $25,000 towards their next home improvement project.
How much?
$25,000. And we're not joking around here. Any trades that we do, we're going to draw this. It'll be a big check. We're giving it away the week of Thanksgiving to say thank you, that kind of a deal. It's going to be really fun. But $25,000 towards your home improvement project. Follow us on social media to enter for your chance to win. So you can follow us on Windows Store at Windows Store Inc. on Instagram. WindowsStoreInc.com is the website. All of those have a link to sign up for this contest. I really encourage people to do it. We gave 10 grand away 2 years ago, and it's our 25th year in business starting in 2026. So we're giving 25 grand away to kick off our 25th year in business. Please sign up today.
That is crazy. Where do they go?
WindowsStoreInc.com, our Facebook page. You can go or get on Facebook. It's just the Window Store, or Instagram is just at the Window Store. It's right on. You can't miss it. We're everywhere.
That's fantastic.
It certainly is.
I like that. All right.
You might be your boss.
You run the show for a little bit. I'm going to be loading up your Instagram and Facebook right now. The Vikings this week, joint practices with New England. Couple of players we already talked about. Rondell Moore gone.
Right.
Do you think the Vikings need to go find another wide receiver? Or do you think there's enough pieces,
Well,
what they have? Because you also have, you remember Jordan Addison will miss the first 3 games of the regular season. So that could leave them thin.
it might leave them to. They might want to go get somebody. I'm sure there'll be somebody else out there, but I think that's a deep position for us too. But we use Rondell Moore, and he's a great asset. So, I'm thinking they're out there looking.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of wide receivers in camp right now. It's close to a dozen guys. Lucky Jackson is still around here.
It's an opportunity,
Right.
to step up. Right on. That's what it is.
That's how you get them. Stop shopping on the waiver wire. Do these practices.
That's what they need to do. So we'll see.
So if he gets hurt, this early, I'm just curious. So if he gets hurt, do they bring in another guy to practice for camp to just see like somebody would have was on the wire to come? And how does that work?
Well, yeah, you could go shopping, but no one's cut anybody yet, except the Vikings got rid of Brian Asamoah yesterday, the linebacker. He was taken in the 3rd round in Kwesi's first draft, and now that first draft there were 10 players selected in Kwesi's first draft. 2 are left out of the 10 in just 3 years.
Well, that's the way you go. Yeah.
Roll the dice.
Right, and if there's one fault to what Kwesi has done, it has been drafting. Dallas Turner really didn't have much of a big year. He didn't look like a world beater. Granted, it was preseason game number 1. We're not making final decisions on him, but he's got to really turn it up for what they get for him, because they moved up and used other assets to grab him.
Well, it's time for him to step up. We'll see.
Yeah.
The running game, we talked obviously about the way the Vikings have beefed that up and added different pieces, but somebody emerged over the weekend that got a lot of people's attention. Xavier Scott
Right.
was a practice squad player apparently a year ago. He showed some things, especially the way he ran the ball, completely different than how Aaron Jones runs the football.
Well, of course, Aaron just brings it. Scott, I think he's when you look at him, he's athletic. He's got quicks, he's got speed, so he's got everything it takes. And now he's probably put the work in over the off season because he looks like a different type of player right now. So
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, so he's making the right move. So he's in a good place. So
I'm going to go with the Chuck Foreman way of you got to go and sit for a year or 2, earn your stripes, see the speed of the game, and then your body grows just as a man, right? Like you're going to get bigger, you're going to get stronger, and you're going to get smarter, hopefully, if you're trying. If you're willing to learn, everyone can learn.
yes, the work. That's the difference in the game now compared to when I played. All the things that they have that are available to you, whether it's a lot of guys have personal trainers, they have nutritionists, they have all these. If you're going to be lifting weights, you got a guy that's going to develop your certain muscle groups that depending on what position you play, and it's all kinds of things involved in it now. And so you see bigger, faster, stronger, and when the guys invest in their body, they generally get a big payoff.
Yeah, you look at what this organization has done with TCO, and players come in there, and it's voted number 1 by NFL players.
Right.
the Players Association. They do surveys of food, of the coaching, of the care, of the facilities. And the Wilfs have put it all on the table for this program, for this franchise to be a winner. They're not going to say, well, we cut this corner and that ended up. If you feel this will make us a Super Bowl contender, buy it.
Well, but we've done this on what? I think the best ownership that we've ever had up here,
by far.
no doubt.
We just did a company Christmas or a company picnic for my girlfriend for Solventum at TCO, and that facility is amazing. It's incredible. That is top notch. I mean, if that was where I got to go practice every day, it feels like you're at a state, you know.
No, it's like you're at a resort. Yeah. That's what it looks like. You know, they got everything here. You come walk through the mall. It's like, okay, back when I played, like, you better pack yourself a sandwich. From home. And hope Bud didn't take it. Hope Bud didn't take it right.
Yeah, so the joint practices, did you have those back in the day at all? Right, you had like 6 preseason games.
We had 6 preseason days after practices. Yeah. And not only that, everybody started every one of those games. But you see, they didn't pay. Back then, they didn't pay the players for a preseason.
Really?
No, you were playing for free. You were playing to make the team.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And then when your contract didn't start until the regular season game.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys out there. And then guys are being a little careful, in preseason, we don't want to get hurt. But it's like I said, it's a whole different game like now. As far as the rules, the guidelines, what they have available. It's a better game, I think, no question.
Well, back then, Bud wanted to win too, right? The preseason games, like now, they're not so concerned with the results, and there's ties in the preseason. There wasn't ties in the preseason when they played. They kept going until somebody won.
Or got a preseason trophy if you won. And Bud, we were always the last team into camp. We were never the first. We were the last team in the camp. So we get in the camp, and 1 week later we'd be playing a game. But he was really, really aware of how much time he wanted to give his players and win. So he was way ahead of his time as far as that goes. He didn't worry out. But but I can tell you what, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that number 6 preseason game, that's when he let the dogs out. He was mixing and seeing who he wanted to keep around the first 5. But that last game, you were going. It was getting you ready for the opener.
So it's completely different than how it's handled nowadays, where no one plays the last preseason game. Maybe that should be how the NFL does it now, and load yourself up for week 1 to get yourself prepared. What did you feel about those? Did you like it that way?
Yeah, I liked it that way. I mean, the last game of the preseason, that's when you had to see where you're at. Following week, you're going to be playing a regular season game, and that's how Bud did it. He played us, but he was limited in how much time you got, just to give you a little time to go out there and get smacked around a little bit.
Well, I think too, winners don't want to sit, right? Like competitors don't want to sit out. So it would drive me nuts to have to sit out. That's 2 weeks. So
Right, six games we used to play like in the preseason. That was where the owners made their real good. They made their money that way too. They didn't have to pay us anything,
Right.
So that's where they were making their cash. But as far as I'm concerned, if we don't play them during the preseason, well, now they only play 3.
Yep.
Well, you got to get them ready with the final game. You got to start the starters. In the next week you're gonna be, you going full go.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how they do that. But all right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into the Pohlads. Even though this is a football show, there is a little things that we could compare ownership-wise. We just talked about the Wilfs giving their players everything they want, everything they need. The Twins, on the other hand, it may be a different story. We'll discuss the Pohlads' decision and where this team is headed from now. We'll also hear from Ryan Jeffers, the Twins catcher, on the trade deadline and what it was like in the clubhouse when 40% of the team walked out the door. That and much more as we continue here on the JimBob Sports Jamboree, presented by the Window Store and Experience Maple Grove. It's Restaurant Week. Get up there now. We'll give you more details about a big party featuring Kat Perkins this Saturday up in Maple Grove at the Lookout. Back with more right after this. Welcome back to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman and Tyler Gantz, owner of the Window Store. And we've got to tell you about Restaurant Week up in Maple Grove, because this is the time to get up there. All week long, there have been specials. Friday, everybody has a special happy hour going, but Saturday is the big celebration at the Lookout Bar. And the Lookout is a unique spot. Chuck, we had the owner in here last week. And he's invited you up to come up anytime. Tyler, you could stop by there. And it's been in his family since 1958. And you know how hard the restaurant business is to succeed. Right? If a restaurant's open 5 years, people call that a tremendous run. Well, how about since 1958? That's like 67 years that family has known how to do it and do it right. And they're doing it right this Saturday with a huge party. Starts all day, basically afternoon. They have fundraisers for the Maple Grove football team. And then the headliner, Kat Perkins, will be doing a concert for free. You could go out there and enjoy Kat and plus a bunch of other bands. So go to experiencemaplegrove.com. They will have all the information there of where you need to go. All right, usually we dive into the Vikings, but the headlines coming from one Twins way is pretty shocking. After putting the team up for sale last October, the Minnesota Twins announced this week that they're going to keep it. The Pohlads are not selling the Twins. They've sold everything else around there. They've sold everything else around there. Players, whatever they could find. But they are keeping the team. They're taking on two groups of investors into the organization, and they will resume ownership of the team for the foreseeable future.
So in other words, there's a different way the money's coming in, but the same old decisions are going to be made.
Correct.
In other words, we're going to be in the same place for the next 20, 30 years. Okay, well.
I just don't understand the logic behind this. You dump your entire roster, right?
40%.
And then you decide, you come out and say, oh, no, just kidding. We're going to keep the team because we found some schmuck to bring his pocketbook. There you go. That's willing to let them spend their money, right?
Exactly.
To rebuild the same dead team that's been going on for the last 30 years.
But the whole thing is, they got the new investors, but they're going to make the same financial decisions regarding their talent.
I don't know, man.
Always a penny pincher. It's not something I'm looking forward to, because it's going to be the same old thing with just a different, group of people.
I have been a season ticket holder for the Twins for, I think, 7 years now. And I've just been waiting for us to make some sort of a run to the playoffs, because that's what you want to watch. My faith, I've lost it this year. I can't do it. It's terrible. And now with these moves, it makes me even more just frustrated.
Well, just think of Jim. Jim goes down to spring training.
He
goes in, does all that stuff. He gets to spend his time that we don't have to.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's a difficult assignment going to Florida in February. It is hard, but I do that for you. So you guys could see how the team is coming together. I risk myself to go down.
I see his suntan lotion on the nose. Just making sure.
Exactly. You're pretty, suspect to burning. Come out of the winter, we go bubble up, no vitamin D, and then you just,
Fort Myers is a nice place to hang out, though, for a couple of weeks. How long do you use this shit?
Not that long, unfortunately. We were only there for about a week with the Twins. But here's the thing. My thing is, yes, the Pohlads need one thing they can buy with the new investors is a PR firm. somebody needs to teach the Pohlads how to run a business,
Yeah.
how to put out the right messaging, because every message they put out there just basically is a thud.
Isn't it cold? I feel like it's just everything is a cold slap in the face.
Right, like when they beat Toronto, you must have been there at the ballpark during the playoffs, and those fans just lost their mind. They didn't even know how to handle not walking out a loser. They were winners for the first time. They beat the Blue Jays. They advanced to the playoffs, and it was total euphoria. Those people walking out, and then they lost to the next round, whatever. But then what happens? The Pohlads say, "Oh, we're cutting the budget by $30 million on payroll." It's like you have this momentum. Go for it. Instead, you just throw cold water on the whole party.
That's that old school way of doing business, I guess. It's like they used to be theirs. That used to be the old Viking way too. You go and negotiate a contract, and they'd say, "Well, I know this guy's making more than you, but you'll be in the playoffs every year." That's how they used to negotiate with it.
Really?
So there could be a running back that's not as good as me, making more money, but they justify it by saying you'll make it up in the playoffs.
Oh, because you're going to have a couple extra games.
Because we're going to have a couple extra games. But wait a minute, this guy's not that good. How much money you making, Chuck? I'll be at the Pro Bowl. And every now and then guys will talk about their contract. And a lot of them didn't, but some of them did. Like, I said, you making what? Yeah, man, I'm making, this, and this. I'm like, you got to be joking. How much you making? I'm too embarrassed to tell you. Wow. That was back in my era, though. But now with the wealth, I think, when you talk about ownership, we've had, of course, Max Winter, and then we had Mike Lynn and his group. Was it Red McCombs? Was it? Yep, the Red McCombs. And now you had the wealth, and by far the best ownership the Vikings have ever had, as far as everything from top to bottom. In my opinion, they got to be one of the best, because let's put it like this: they don't go second class. They go first class all the way. Yeah. Hey, you know what? They go executive class. That'll be a baby. Yeah, they go above and beyond first class.
Yeah, we're Ludwig's race.
Yeah, I think of the Pohlads, I think of like those old-time black and white movies where the banker comes to the door and throws out the mom and the little kids out of the house because they missed one payment on their mortgage. That's what I picture when I see the Pohlads. And you know what? When the Pohlads are sitting around watching that movie, they're cheering for the banker. They're going, yes, get him out of there.
Well, I think a lot of people were hoping that they did sell it to get the different way of doing things with the Twins.
I think we all do. No one wants them.
No, so but
hey, were they the owners? How long have they been the Twins owners?
since I know,
We go all the way back to Carl and Eloise when they bought it from, they bought it in the 80s. They bought it in the 80s from Calvin Griffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Who was another owner that everybody, very tight with the money, and was one that a lot of people just were done with. So they bought him, I think, in 84, was it?
Yeah,
Yep. So Carl and Eloise won both World Series, 87, 91, and then they passed it on to their children. And so the three boys now are running the organization. But you have to pull out and look at the whole situation of Major League Baseball. If the NFL ran their league the way Major League Baseball does, the Green Bay Packers would not exist.
No.
Because they wouldn't have the financial resources. The Vikings would not be where they are. There's no accountability for this ownership. I don't really care about how much money you pay these people, but you need a salary cap that inflicts pain for wrong decisions. We saw it with the Wild, with Suter and Parisi. They bought him out, and we sat around 4 years going, God, this is just terrible, right? There's accountability. The Yankees spend $100 million on a pitcher, and he's no good, well, they just cut him. And then they go spend another $100 million on another pitcher, and there's no ramifications for bad deals. I mean, Bobby Bonilla is still getting his $1 million check from the Mets every year. Oh, so they need ramp. And so after this, not the end of this season, but the next season, at the end, the CBA is up, and everybody is hinting that that's when baseball owners are going to try to put in a salary cap. But the Dodgers won't want it. The Yankees won't want it. The Cubs won't make it because they're making gobs of money.
I mean, yeah, I think market teams won't want it.
Right.
But they'll get outvoted. It should, yeah, but then they don't vote it.
Everybody else is the Washington Generals. The Twins just show up to Yankee Stadium and get knocked around,
9 in a row.
Right. 9 in a row. They got beat 9-1 the other night. I mean, it's ugly.
Yeah, it's ugly when you go into a place you don't have the talent to compete.
Right. But Ryan Jeffers, I spoke to him after the trade deadline, and he believes all those cuts were not just money. He has some interesting things to say about the team and the players in that clubhouse. You'll hear from that. Bob Sansevere will join us on the other side. You're listening to the JimBob Sports Jamboree presented by the Window Store and Experience Maple Grove. Get up there. It's restaurant week. Saturday is the big day at the Lookout. Bob Sansevere and Ryan Jeffers coming up after this break.